Hello, everyone. Good to see you guys. Good to see everyone here today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We're in the Flight Sim world. It is Viper Strike 95 Flight Sim, and today is the return of an old series I haven't actually brought since September, believe it or not, of 2022. And yes, we're back with the City Tour series today. And as we just got started, we have a raid from Cap at 9. Thank you, my friend. I hope you made it safely for your landing, but great to see you guys here. So we're back here outside of Houston, Texas. We're in LaPorte Municipal Airport in Texas. We're right next to the Port of Houston. So today we are going to do a flight tour series. Now, for guys who are here for the first time and haven't heard about the Air Tour series, I'll be taking an ultralight and flying through the air, and we'll be touring landmarks in all the photogrammetry areas around the world. I decided to pick Houston for today since we're going to be visiting there during Flight Sim Expo. But let me give you a little bit of the flight plan for today. Just gotta wait for the nav map. The nav map will take a second to load, so do bear with me on this. Okay, there she is. You landed quite safely. Nice. So we're going to take off here from LaPorte Municipal Airport. From LaPorte, we'll be visiting the Port of Houston, one of the world's largest ports here in Houston. Then from here, we'll be visiting the ExxonMobil Baytown Refinery, one of the largest refineries in the country. And one of the things that makes Houston quite an economic power in Texas. Then from here, we'll be visiting one of the PUI landmarks, the San Jacinto Battleground, including the San Jacinto Monument. We'll be visiting the USS Texas battleship. We'll be flying through some more refineries. We'll be talking about the history of Houston along this leg. From there, we'll be visiting Buffalo Bayou Park. We visit Glenwood Cemetery, where Howard Hughes Sr. was buried. Howard Hughes Jr. was buried. Then from there, we'll be visiting downtown Houston. We'll get to know some of Houston's most known buildings. We'll be visiting Minute Maid Park, home of the Houston Astros, the defending World Series champs. Then from here, we'll be visiting to PNC Stadium, home of the Houston Dynamo Football Club. Then we'll go through to the Convention Center in downtown Houston. We'll be visiting the Toyota Center, home to the Houston Rockets basketball team. Then wrap around downtown. Then from there, we'll be flying our way over to the museum district. We'll be visiting through quite a few of the museums around the area. Then we'll be visiting through Lakewood Church. This mega church actually has a really unique history. It used to be a sport arena. Then from there, we'll be heading our way down and visit Rice University. Right around the campus, we'll visit Rice Stadium. We'll be heading back to Rice University in a sec because we'll then be visiting NRG Stadium, the home of the Houston Texans American football team, the NRG complex, and of course, we'll be visiting the old home of the Houston Astros, the eighth wonder of the world, the Astrodome. Then we'll head back up, visit the campus of Rice University. Then from there, we'll be heading to the museum district. We'll be visiting quite a few of the museums: the Fine Arts Museum, the Houston Natural Science Museum, the Holocaust Museum, the Children's Museum of Houston. Then we'll visit Herman Park, where we can find the Houston Zoo. From here, we'll be heading back out again through Texas Southern University, the HBCU college here in Houston. Then we'll be visiting through Houston's largest university, the University of Houston. We'll visit around the campus, fly around. Then from there, we'll make a quick pit stop, a touch and go landing at Houston Hobby. We'll be there. Right there is the 1940 Air Terminal Museum. And then from here, we'll be visiting the last major landmarks for our trip. This is NASA Space Center Houston and Johnson Space Center. This is where Houston got its Space City nickname. And then from there, we'll make our final stop here at Ellington Field. This is where Flight Sim Expo 2023 is held at the Lone Star Flight Museum. So yeah, that is going to be today's journey. I worked up a slideshow for today. So I'll be posting the slideshow a little later on. So let's go over Our plane for today will be taking the Top Runner Solo 103 Ultralight. Yes, it's not going to beat you in the speed department, but like I said, I haven't took this thing in a while. But it's perfect for this trip because guess what? We're going to be in a little ultralight, and we're just going to fly around the city and everything. But yeah, this little bugger goes around 50 knots, and it is ridiculously easy to start. Starting this thing is as easy as one. It's just 1, 2, 3. Oh, is there anything else? Cool. One, two, 1, 2, 3. Hey, Sasuke Uchina. Good to see you, Sasuke Uchina. Good to see you. So yeah, we're doing the Sea Tour series today. We're just doing the Sea Tour series as well. So if you've never heard of this series before, this is something I used to do on Sundays, for my Sunday streams, but I decided to bring the series back for today. This is gonna be one of the 3 series I'm gonna be doing an alternating week while I'll be doing the around the world trip. I'll be alternating between the airliner, GA, and the ultralight flights. So it's something that I'm gonna be doing, just switching around between the 3. So yeah, if you want to join in, I'm on the Southeast Asia server. It should be !info. Yeah, here it is. And we're off. And we're off. Nice. And we're off. So good to see you guys here. It's great to be back. So we're back in the City Tour series once again. It's great to be back doing this tour again. And I'm glad I'm going to be able to alternate between this series and the around the world trip. I'm going to be glad to be doing this for you guys. So it's good to be back with you guys. Just another simple tour. I'll give you guys a tour around Houston and all the areas. I plan all this out by myself on stream. So let's go ahead and pull the slideshow today. Viper Sea Tour Houston. So our first wave we're going to be visiting today, we're going to be visiting the Port of Houston. It's one of the world's largest ports. Serves the metropolitan area of Houston. It's part of a 50-mile-long complex of diversified public and private facilities located a few hours from the Gulf of Mexico. In terms of port tonnage in the U.S., it's the busiest port in the country and the second busiest port in overall tonnage. Though originally they were in the city limits of Houston, the port has expanded that includes multiple communities as well. And the Port of Houston is a cooperative entity between the Port Authority along the Houston Ship Channel and more than 150 private companies along the Buffalo Bayou and Galveston Bay. And many petroleum corporations have even built refineries along the channel to protect them from the storms that happen all throughout the Gulf of Mexico. And the history of this port goes way back into the 20th century. After the Galveston hurricane of 1900, Woodrow Wilson opened the Port of Houston to traffic, and it quickly became one of the busiest ports in the world, into one of the world's largest ports. So there's a lot of things that this Port of Houston's. So here it is, guys. Here is some of the shipping parts here in the port. The Port of Houston's right there. So it's great to see you guys. I hope you guys have had a great Wednesday so far. you guys have had a great Wednesday so far and enjoying your trip. Thank you so much, Catbat9, for the raid. Let me give Catbat a shout out. Catbat9's an awesome Flight Sim creator. He does a lot of stuff for the T41 Murphy community, which I'm a part of myself. So this here is Morgan's Point. This is where you can find some of the terminal service here in the port. I mean, today's a great day to fly here in Houston. And here's another reason I love the Top Rider Solo 103. The thing you can't beat in this plane is the view of the point of view is just great. You can see so much stuff down below. Snapshot, pick. And I usually post them on the City Tour Discord. It is such a beautiful day in Houston. And I usually set all my weather to VFR conditions, so I don't have to worry about weather being an issue. So here's one of the many ships down below. There's some of the shipping cart vessels here on the ship. So there's some of the shipping vessels. So there's shipping vessels. And there's a couple of bridges on this area too. Definitely got that as well. We're going to go ahead and turn to the left for this flight. Once we turn left, we'll be heading down to the ExxonMobil refinery, the Baytown refinery here in Houston. Here it is. This is one of the major oil refineries in the country. It's owned by ExxonMobil. This refinery has a capacity of 584,000 barrels of oil per day, and it takes up over 2,400 acres of land next to the Houston Ship Channel. It is the second largest refinery in the country by production, just after the nearby Port Arthur refinery, just in Port Arthur. And this place was well known for an explosion that happened in 2021 in December 23rd. It was caused by a fire around 1 a.m. and it injured 5 workers. 4 of them were sent to the hospital, but thankfully there were no fatalities. So, yeah, those refinery explosions do still happen in this case, at least. So this is the Baytown refinery. So yeah, there's a couple of bridges to our left. To our left here, this is the Fred Hartman Bridge to our left. I mean, just look at the scale. If you guys wanted to look at the scale of this oil refinery. I mean, it is absolutely enormous. It's a massive oil refinery here. Now, if you guys want to know why I want to talk about oil refineries so much in Houston, well, if you know anything about Houston's history, the oil industry was in shipping were a huge deal throughout the 20th century. So here it is, guys. Here is our shipping vessels. Okay, here. So this is the Baytown Oil Refinery. Now these circular stations here, this is where they store the oil before they ship it out. This is where the oil is stored. These are like different substations for oil as well. Yeah, I miss flying this thing. I really do. Because I just like flying over all this stuff. Look at the scenery and all that. I mean, look at the scale of this. This is huge. I mean, the scale of this oil refinery is just something. Hey, Scoop! Good to see you, Scoop! Yay, you're playing the Kentucky Derby. Awesome. Awesome! Woohoo! Good to see you, Scoop. We're doing the City Tour series, and we're touring Houston. We're just currently flying over the ExxonMobil Baytown Refinery right now. This just shows you how big... What's happening? Good to see you. So we're doing the City Tour series today. You're more than welcome to join in. Just take something a little slower because we're going at 40 knots, 47 knots. So right here is the Baytown Refinery here from ExxonMobil. Just see the scale of such a place. It's huge. But yet it is enormous. It's an enormous refinery. It's huge. But the refinery is a big player in Houston's economy. Oh, yeah, just kidding. Yeah, F-22 is way too fast for this flight. Are you kidding? I mean, a F-22 is way too fast for this thing. Are you kidding? So the next place we're visiting today on this tour, we'll be checking out the San Jacinto State Historic Battle Site. We'll be visiting here today. So this battle site is where this Battle of St. Jacinto happened back in 1836. It also is home to the museum ship, the USS Texas. And of course, its most famous feature is the monument. By the way, there is the San Jacinto Monument right here. That's because it's a POI landmark, so we can visit here. Now, this historic site was built all the way back in 1836, but the beginnings were traced back to the 1880s, where the state of Texas purchased 10 acres of this land. And they helped build this memorial site. In this, it contains a history museum located here that talks about not only the Battle of Jacinto, but the history of Texas culture, including Mayan, Spanish, and Mexican influences, the Texas Revolution, and the Republic of Texas, and other important figures in the state's history. There's also the battleship located here as well. I'm planning on putting a washer in my fifth wheel when I'm done. Interesting. So, in here, I'm going to talk briefly about the Battle of Jacinto. It's a pretty long one, but the Battle of Jacinto happened on April 21st, 1836, located right near the port. This is where the battle happened. Led by General Samuel Houston, the Texas Army defeated General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna's Mexican army in just 18 minutes. This was the final and decisive battle of the Texas Revolution that secured Texas's independence from Mexico. And only 3 Texans were wounded, with 11 killed, compared to over 650 Mexicans being absolutely destroyed. And its legacy is still very important here in the state of Texas. So there's that. And then we have the San Jacinto Monument. We're going to be seeing it. This monument is very tall. In fact, it's 567 feet high, or 172 meters. It was constructed between 1936 and 1939, and this monument is topped with a 220-ton star that commemorates the Battle of San Jacinto. To put this in perspective, it is actually even taller than the Washington Monument. I kid you not. Actually, almost over 10 feet higher, which makes it the tallest stone monument in the world. So, it's an architectonic column built by W.S. Bell's Construction. And the base is decorated with 80 engraved panels that depict the history of Texas. And a lot of people visit the monument each year. In fact, 250 people visit the monument, including 40,000 children on school trips visit the monument every single year. So this is a very important place here in Houston. And it is a POI landmark, so we're definitely going to take a picture or two here. By the way, guys, if you like what you see here, I do have a Discord channel. Here's my Discord link to the channel. But it's great to do these sea tours again. I have a lot of fun. Plus, nothing beats these little ultralights when you want to explore the world. Nothing beats them. Let's go ahead and circle around. So there it is. There is the San Jacinto Monument. I mean, she looks really good in the sim. Solo did a great job with it, by the way. Looks great. Isn't the statue an absolute looker? We're gonna circle back with the statue. And this around this area is San Jacinto Park as well. So if this thing's got a history museum and a monument, I mean, how cool would that be to honor Texas and its history? But then again, like they say in Texas, everything's bigger in the state. Alright, so now that we looked at the monument, we are going to the one final place we're going to be visiting in this area. We're going to visit the USS Texas, known as Battleship BB-35, the USS Texas. This is actually currently a machine ship. She was a New York-class battleship that was launched on May 18, 1912, and commissioned in March 12, 1914. She served the waters... She served in Mexican waters following the Tampico incident, but saw no action, and she made numerous sorties into the North Sea during the First World War, though she did not fire in anger. And during World War II, Texas escorted war convoys across the Atlantic and later shelled the French in the North African campaign and German-held beaches in Normandy, before being part of the Pacific Theater to provide naval gunfire support during the Battle of Okinawa and Iwo Jima. In 1948, she was decommissioned and earned a total of 5 battle stars during World War II. She was also kind of a technological testbed. She was the first battleship to equipped with anti-aircraft guns, the first U.S. warship to control gunfire with a fire control system, the first U.S. battleship to launch a plane, and to receive production radar. And of course, most importantly, the USS Texas is the first U.S. battleship to become a permanent museum ship. And it's even the first U.S. battleship to also be a U.S. National Historic Landmark, and is the only remaining World War I era dreadnought battleship in the world. Still remaining in the world. Yes, she's the last of her kind, the dreadnoughts. And she's only one of 8 remaining ships. And she's only one of 8 remaining ships, and the only capital ship to have served in both World Wars as well. So this ship is a very, very important landmark here in Houston. If you want to know what she has, what kind of weapon she carried, well, she's around 573 feet long. The beam's around 95 feet beam, 28-foot drafts, powered by 14 coal-fired boilers that produce 28,000 ship horsepower. It is propulsed by 2 vertical steam engines that can go up to 21 knots, with a range of 7,000 nautical miles, and is armed to the teeth. 10 14-inch guns, 21 5-inch, 4 3-pound guns, 2 1-pounders, and 4 21-inch torpedo tubes. She was lowered to the brim. She was also pretty well armored too, with 10 to 12-inch armor through her midships, with 6-inch armor in the aft and 9 inches in the lower belt aft. Yeah, she is a very capable battleship, if you say so myself. So yeah, that is the USS Texas. We're going to fly by her one more time. Just learned some brilliant American history as well. Unfortunately, though, in the sim, she is covered in foliage, unfortunately, but she's an absolutely beautiful ship. Beautiful, beautiful ship. Alright, we're going to turn left, and let me go ahead and discuss some bits about Houston, Texas for you. Let me give you the overview of the city. So Houston is Texas's most populous city. It's the most populous city in the southern U.S., and it is the 4th most populous city in the country, behind only New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago, I believe. Though I can be... Yeah, I think it's behind Chicago. Yeah, it's only behind New York, LA, and Chicago as the 4th most populous city in the United States. This city is an absolute juggernaut as a strong industrial base with energy, aeronautics, and transportation. And it comes with multiple nicknames, including the Bayou City, Space City, H-Town, and the 713. And Houston is right now pretty much a global city when it comes to culture, medicine, and research. Houston's been a big city for that. Houston was founded back in 1836. But beforehand, it used to be the home of the Karanakawa and Akatakapa indigenous people for at least 2,000 years. Then the Allen brothers bought the land. And it was named after former General Sam Houston, who was president of the Republic of Texas in this time and helped win Texas's independence from Mexico. And then afterwards as well, by 1860, the city grew quite a bit, and it became a major commercial and railroad hub for the export of cotton. Then, during the Civil War, Houston served as a headquarters for Confederate Major General John B. Magruder, who used the city to organize the Battle of Galveston. But then, after the Civil War, Houston businessmen initiate efforts to widen the city's extensive system of bayous so they can accept more commerce. And by 1890, it returned back to being the major railroad center of Texas. However, the thing that would really change Houston's history was actually in 1900, when Galveston was struck by the devastating Galveston hurricane of 1900. The deadliest natural disaster in U.S. history, actually. And as a result, they actually rapidly made Houston a viable deep water port. And combine that with the discovery of oil near Beaumont, it made Houston the perfect location for a major deep water port. And by 1914, President Woodrow Wilson opened the D-War Port of Houston. And by 1930, Houston became the most populous city in Texas. And then during World War II, Houston was a pretty big piece of World War II as well due to all the defense jobs. Lots of people came here for shipping, especially shipbuilding, petroleum and rubber products, and the war made Houston quite a very important nation for that. Then after World War II, it became a big piece for the space for Houston's growth. NASA chose Houston as one of its sites, mainly for Manned Spacecraft Center, and it allowed the city to grow very much in aerospace. Also during that time, the Astrodome opened, became the world's first indoor sports stadium. And Houston boomed in the late 70s due to a lot of people from the Rust Belt moving to Texas. And a lot of them came for new opportunities in the petroleum industry. And as a result, Houston became a destination for many college-educated people. And it continued its growth all the way into the 21st century, with even more people coming here. As oil and gas continued to fuel Houston's growth through the first decade. However, an issue with Houston has been flooding issues for the last couple of years, with Tropical Storm Allison in 2001, and then in 2015, Hurricane Rita came around with even more flood. But the worst was in 2017 when Hurricane Harvey stalled over Texas, causing some massive flooding in Houston, with some areas reaching over 50 inches of rain. And it caused $125 billion in damage for the city of Houston. So it was pretty big. Hey, good to see you, Iceman. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm doing quite well, Iceman333. Good to see you. Let me give Iceman a shout out as well. Oh yeah, I forgot Plan Neutral's here. I'm sorry, Plan Neutral. I was busy reading my notes. But good to see you too. Iceman333 does a lot of helicopter streams. I've ran him plenty of times. I really enjoy his streams. And of course, my other really good friend, Planet Neutral, another excellent friend. Good to see you. Yes, Planet Neutral, we're back with the city tours today. And we are touring the space city of Houston, Texas. That is where we're going to be visiting today. So yeah, we're touring Houston, so we're going to go ahead and get this. So that is a bit about Houston's history. Houston was incorporated in 1837. The cityscape of Houston, for the cityscape, cityscape, it adopted a ward system, and there are 11 geographically oriented wards district. And most locations in Houston are either defined by being outside or inside the Interstate 610 loop, which is around 97. And though Houston is the largest city in the U.S. without formal zoning regulations, it's developed very similar to other Sunbelt cities due to the city's land use regulation. And then Houston's architecture. Well, in terms of skylines, Houston's actually the 5th tallest skyline in North America, after New York City, Chicago, Toronto, and Miami. There's also a 7-mile system of tunnels and sidewalks that allow pedestrians to avoid the summer heat and rain while walking between buildings. Houston's tallest building is the 1,002-foot J.P. Morgan Chase Tower in 1982. There's also some other historic buildings, including the Niels Epperson Building, which was there as well. In terms of Houston, the economy in Houston, well, economically, Houston is a very big economy in the United States, known for its oil industry, as well as particularly oil and natural gas, as well as biomedical research and aeronautics. And as a result, because of it, Houston is one of the strongest cities in the United States. It's a global city, and in terms of exports, Houston is even larger than New York in terms of exports, with petroleum products, chemicals, and oil and gas extraction equipment as well. Houston's also a leading center for equipment for oil fields, as well as having some of the healthiest housing market in the entire country. So Houston is pretty much really successful. Also the ports too. Houston is a major port city as well, for all the same reasons. So the next thing is going to be Houston's culture. So Houston's very diverse, being a very diverse city in the American South. There is a lot of culture in the city of Houston. Obviously, with the picture here, one of the most famous tourist one of the most visit places that people visit Houston is for the rodeo show. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is the largest rodeo in the world. Held for over 20 days from early to late March. They feature all sorts of rodeo-esque events and everything. There's also the Houston Gay Pride Parade as another celebration here in Houston since 1979. And Houston's very well known for its diverse food and restaurant culture, and makes it one of the America's best food cities. There's also lots of theater districts, museum districts as well, tons of museums. And of course, Houston's a pretty good sports city too. In fact, Houston also has plenty of sports as well. Houston's a home to every single professional league except for the National Hockey Football League. Houston's first sports team was the Astros, that was formed in 1962. They were originally called the Houston Colt 45s. That lasted until 1965, and have won the World Series twice, in 2017 asterisk in 2022, and appeared in the 2005, 2019, and 2021 World Series, and is the only Major League Baseball team to win the pennant in both modern leagues. Another team is the Houston Rockets of the NBA, that have been around since 1971, winning 2 NBA championships in back-to-back years in 1994 and 1995, under stars like Hakeem Olajuwon, Otis Thorpe, Clyde Drexler, and K. Smith. Currently, right now, this team's got other famous other players playing for the Rockets. Yao Ming, Tracy McGrady, James Harden played for the team. Even back to the old days, they had Moses Malone and Rudy Tomjanovich. Tons of famous basketball players play for the Rockets. And then they also have the Houston Texans, which is a relatively newer franchise in the NFL. In fact, they're the NFL's youngest team, came into the league in 2002. They currently have some pretty decent players, though last year they absolutely were terrible. They were bad enough to not get a first-round pick. They have the MLS's Houston Dynamo, that has been around since 2006. Houston's also hosted many different other events, They hosted multiple MLB All-Star games, NBA All-Stars, and of course multiple Super Bowls as well. Have been held here in the city of Houston. So yeah, that is a little bit about Houston's culture. So that is a little bit of an overview about Houston, Texas. Get into that city pretty quickly. So yeah, I wanted to ask you guys, I hope you guys are doing well as always. I know that Sunday is going to be the big DC3 flight. That's going to be several hours. So in terms of Microsoft news, I'm going to go over for a sec. We're going to get a brand new F-14 Tomcat from Heat Blur Simulations and India Fox Echo. And this isn't, and they're going to bring their own F-14 out, which is definitely very exciting. They're gonna be working together to bring the DCS F-14, which is, by the way, if you guys don't know about DCS, DCS is a very realistic simulator, as well. And if they succeed in bringing that F-14, I mean, that changes the game. So that should be very, very. That should be very, very interesting to see as well. So right over here, we see downtown Houston. To our distance is downtown Houston. So there is downtown Houston from our distance as well. So let's take a look from our, let's zoom in for a little bit, shall we? So there's the JP Morgan building over here. We see quite a few other notable skyline buildings here in the skyline. So yeah, there is downtown Houston. There's downtown. We can see Minute Maid Park. We can see the Toyota Center somewhere around here. The Toyota Center. Hey, Dougal McTavish. Good to see you, Dougal. How you been? So yes, Dougal McTavish, we brought back the City Tour series today, Dougal. I hope you're doing well. So we're touring the city of Houston today. This is where we're going to have Flight Sim Expo coming into 2023. So to our left, we should be visiting Glenwood Cemetery. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Glenwood Cemetery. So to our left, right over here, is Glenwood Cemetery. So this cemetery is developed in 1871. It's the first professionally designed cemetery in the city. It overlooks Buffalo Bayou Park. Um, some notable burials here include some former residents of the Republic of Texas, including the last president of the Republic of Texas, Anson Jones. There's also former governors of Texas are buried here, high-ranking federal officials, and of course, yep, and two very famous people were buried here. Howard Hughes Sr., the one who founded the Hughes Tool Company, along with Walter Sharp, and of course his son, Howard Hughes Jr., the very famous pilot and industrialist, were buried here as well. Some very famous people were buried here too. And overlooking this area is Buffalo Bayou Park, which is right in this area. 2.3 mile long municipal park with about 160 acres. And this was actually pretty recent in 2015. It has a dog park for play areas for dogs. It's got a skate park, which is 30,000 square foot. And it's got a nature play area with rock scramble, waterfall, sand pit, and slides. Pretty cool stuff. Oh, no music again? No music again. Let me go ahead and exit out of Twitch soundtrack by Twitch. Reopen it back up. I think I figured out what was wrong with it. It was my audio track was kind of mixed up. So my Twitch soundtrack, I was loading the wrong OBS track. It was something with OBS. So unfortunately, I don't think so. So let's. No worries. Appreciate it. Yeah, I figured out what was wrong with it. I already know what was wrong. And then right next to it, we'll be visiting Sam Houston Park in downtown Houston. This urban park has been dedicated to Houston's past. There's quite a few historic properties. One of them was a cabin in 1891 that was built by German Swiss immigrants, known as the Kelm Noble House. So we could probably get down a little lower as well. We're going to go ahead and lower down a little bit. This here is Texas, Houston. Yeah, this is weird. I guess I need to X out stream and then play stream again. But I'm going to do it later on. Hopefully that gets. So there's Sam Houston Park, which is right here. This is Sam Houston Park. And then we're going to be visiting two pretty notable buildings. The Apperson buildings are located here in this area. We should get through to Houston. So the Apperson buildings are located. Look at that. This is Houston. Look at that. Oh, there's one of the Apperson buildings. Should be. Oh, there she is. Put to pause. Here it is. So right here are the Apperson buildings down below us. These used to be the tallest buildings in Houston from 1927 to 1929. These are actually two buildings here. They're one of the only complete examples of Italian Renaissance architecture in downtown Houston, designed by John Eberson. These two buildings were built between 1927 and 1941. And apparently some people think the buildings were kind of haunted as a result. These buildings are around 410 foot tall for the Niels Tower and 82.9 for the Milling Tower. And located around here is also, well, the tallest building in Houston, which is right here. This is the tallest building in all of Houston, over 1,000 foot tall, over 208,000 square meters. It's 75 stories high, and it's connected to the Houston downtown tunnel system, allowing people to not have to worry about the Houston heat and weather. And you can find the Sky Lobby observation deck on the 60th floor. Pretty cool stuff. But of course, we're going to visit the first unique landmark here, and a very important one. We're visiting, no, not PNC Stadium. No, we're visiting Minute Maid Park. Home of the Houston Astros, built in 2000. This retractable roof facility can seat up to 641,168 people, and it features 5,197 club seats, 63 luxury suites. And let me tell you an interesting history about Minute Maid Park that I think a lot of people don't know about. But as a baseball fan, I actually do know this building quite well. Minute Maid Park, in the left field side of the house, right here, here's left field. Left field was actually built on the site of the Houston's old Union Station was built. And they even have a whole museum and stuff that talk about Minute Maid Park in this area's history. So they couldn't tear down the Union Station, so they built around it and incorporate it into the new stadium. Pretty cool. Very cool stadium. It's been hosted the 2004 All-Star Game. It's been involved in multiple World Series, including their World Series victories in 2017 and 2022. As well, it's hosted plenty of concerts like Taylor Swift, Green Day, and more. It's even hosted the Houston College Classic Baseball Tournament with many different Texas schools. So this was definitely a pretty cool baseball ballpark. It's definitely a cool ballpark. I would like to visit someday, but yeah, welcome to Minute Maid Park. Okay, we'll get back. Okay, from Minute Maid, we'll be heading down right next door to it, literally right next door. We'll be visiting PNC Stadium, home of the Houston Dynamo. Seats 22,000 people, including private suites, club seats, and more. And it's home to both Houston Dynamo and the Houston Dash soccer teams. So there is the soccer pitch. Here's the pitch down here. It was originally called BBVA Stadium here. So, and go grab more pictures. I post them all in my Discord, by the way, if you guys want to recap all the pics. Then we have the George R. Brown Convention Center. So this here is the Convention Center, hosted many of Houston's events. And one of the largest events that come here to the Convention Center is Comicpalooza. And it continues to increase as it gets more popular. Built in 1987 on the east side of downtown Houston. Complete with a price tag of $104 million. So yeah, I hope you're doing well, Dougal McTavish. Also, in addition, here's a couple other things. 7,000 people actually went to the convention center after Hurricane Katrina because the Astrodome was full. America's Got Talent was filmed some episodes there. Oh yeah. Okay. So right here. So right here is the Toyota Center. This here is the main basketball arena for the Houston Rockets. Located here in Houston, it's the home of the Houston Astros. Not Houston Astros, the Rockets since 2003. Seating capacity of around 18,000 for basketball, 19,000 for concerts, and 17,000 for hockey. There's 103 luxury suites and 2,900 club sections. There's also private club lounges, bistro, dining room, and more. And it's also hosted other events like the UFC and more. So there is this is the Toyota Center. Pretty cool stuff. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to leave downtown Houston behind. We're going to say one last goodbye to downtown, and we'll make our way out of downtown Houston. Yeah, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you guys have any major plans for the weekend. So we're going to head towards Midtown. So we're going to go ahead and so the next building we're going to be visiting on today is going to be Lakewood Church, Central Campus of Lakewood Church, which is a mega church in Houston, one of the largest congregations in the country. But here's an interesting thing about it. Before this thing actually became the site of a church, from 1975 to 2003, it served as a multi-purpose sports arena, mainly for the Houston Rockets of the NBA. After it was done building a sporting arena, it also hosted tons of concerts like Journey, Metallica, Aerosmith, and more. Then afterwards, it became bought by Lakewood Church for $95 million, and then the church would outright buy it for $7.5 million, and it became now a church. And I mean, a lot of people visit here for church gathering. It can actually serve 16,800 people for the church. Crazy. The church should be coming up pretty shortly, 2 miles. over here to our left, we should see Rice University, one of the many universities here in Houston. We should be approaching them. I'm sorry that the sound isn't working, Google. I really do apologize. It's just, I found something wrong with it, and I need to actually stop the stream and then refix it all back. Okay, so here it is. This is the church I was talking about. This is the Houston Mega Church. So here is the Houston Mega Church. Right. Actually, the church is straight ahead. Let's see if we can find this. I think that. Okay, let me check the fuel, see if I need a... No, the fuel's good. Actually, the tanks are good. Ah, there she is. Okay, I found the arena. There she is. This used to be the church. This used to be the arena. Now it's a church. But hey, I mean, that's not the weirdest thing they changed in the state of Texas. So afterwards, we'll be visiting Rice University, which opened back in 1912, named after William Marsh Rice. It's known as William Marsh Rice University. This private research university in Houston is around 300 acres. It has a very strong focus on undergraduate studies, 6-to-1 student to faculty ratio. It is a very prestigious university here in the United States with high research activity. It's categorized into 11 residential colleges with 8 schools of academic study, with more than 50 majors and 24 minors. And the Rice University contains 26 Marshall Scholars, dozen Rhodes Scholars, 2 Nobel Literates, and of course, it has a significant number of astronauts and space scientists that graduated from Rice. They're part of the NCAA Division I as the Owls. So the campus, there's only 8,212 students as of fall 2021, which is including only 4,200 undergrads, which is really small, but it is one of the most prestigious universities in the country. And there's some pretty notable alumni. But some of these alumni include former CEO of Halliburton, Thomas Cruikshank. Howard Hughes himself was a graduate of Rice, and we all know Howard Hughes a bit. If you're an aviation person, you know who he is. Frank C. Koch, chemical engineer. Government officials like George P. Bush, George Prescott Bush, William P. Hobby, who we know is names of one of the airports, and John Graves, author of Goodbye to a River, and tons of other alumni too. So yeah, pretty cool stuff about the University of Rice. And one of the most unique landmarks outside Rice is Rice Stadium. Actually, let's go ahead and actually visit the stadium for a bit. So this here is Rice Stadium in Houston. It was completed in 1950, home of the Rice Owls football team. and it was famous for hosting John F. Kennedy's "We Choose to Go to the Moon" speech in 1962, and it was even in a Super Bowl in 1974. High school football games have actually played here at Rice Stadium for high school games. Now, I know that's weird. I know a lot of you have been thinking, how could an undergrad school less than 8,000 students total have a stadium this big? Well, you see, back in the days before the NFL arrived into Houston, Rice was a very competitive football program along with the Houston Cougars. But once the NFL made its way over to Houston, they lost a lot of popularity as a result. And as a result, Rice hasn't been exactly the same. Originally, this stadium used to have 70,000 people. 70,000! But now they reduced it back to 47,000, so this here is Rice Stadium. So yeah, that is pretty interesting to say for the least. And then right next to it, right next to it is the basketball stadium. Tudor Fieldhouse is right next to it. And this is the basketball stadium for Rice. 5,000. It's around 5,000 people, and it's notorious for the Autry Army, a group of students that heckle a lot of the opponents during every basketball game. And at the end of the game, fans are invited to actually shoot a free throw. If they make it, they win a free basketball, which is pretty cool. So we'll be back to Rice University shortly. We'll be heading back to Rice. We'll head back there shortly. We're actually going to visit the Energy Complex first. So first is the NRG Stadium. NRG Stadium is home of the Houston Texans, but also home to the famous rodeo event. It's hosted U.S. men's national team soccer matches, the Texas Bowl, and it's served for multiple Super Bowl and WrestleMania events. It will even host matches of the 2026 World Cup. It's going to have some matches here in Houston. Seating capacity of 72,000 fans, but it can expand to 80,000 for certain events. Designed by HOT Sport, and it's well known for its retractable roof as well. In fact, it is the first NFL facility to have a retractable roof. So it's definitely a pretty cool stadium to come visit. So here she is, NRG Stadium. But all of this is within one single complex, by the way. There's also another facility right next to it. So right next to this is one of the most famous sporting stadiums of all time, the Astrodome. When this thing was built back in 1965, it was dubbed the eighth wonder of the world. It was financed and assisted development by Roy Hoffens, the mayor of Houston, and known for pioneering modern stadiums. And it was not just the home of the Houston Astros, it was of Major League Baseball, it was home of the Houston Oilers as well. As well as being the primary venue of the Houston Livestock Show. Now, during one of the games as well, originally it used to be grass. However, when it died, it installed artificial turf, becoming the first major venue to install artificial turf, which became known as AstroTurf. Also, it had the first animated scoreboard in sports. However, by the 90s, the Astrodome was kind of get obsolete. So the Bud Adams actually moved the Oilers to Tennessee. However, despite all that, it still was an extremely important facility for New Orleans residents that were affected by Katrina. And in 2014, the Astrodome became part of the National Register of Historic Places. So yeah, basically, if you want to know how many fans fit in the Astrodome, you can actually fit around 50,000 plus people in the Astrodome. Though the record attendance was 67,000. So let me go ahead and circle back around. I think we just passed the Astrodome. There's also two other venues. There's a small arena, which is around 8,000 people. And the other one is another convention center for the livestock stuff. So this here is the Energy Complex, NRG. So look at these two sporting venues. You have one which is really new. The other one is one of the most historic sporting arenas in Texas. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this series just as much as I am. So from here, we'll be heading back to Rice. We'll be revisiting the campus now. So there's the Energy Center. This is the convention center within the complex. Yeah, this is the Astrodome. Look how close we are to the Astrodome. Yeah, it's good to see all you guys here today. You guys have any major plans for the weekend, at least? I know some of you guys have had something going on for the weekend. For me, I'm going to finish up more notes for the around the world trip. If you could tell, I was working pretty far ahead, so I'm hoping I can finish the rest of the legs get logged. So I can work on filling the rest of it out. Well, on the way to here, I want to talk about the museum district here in Houston. So we have, this district has 19 museums, galleries, and cultural centers, and more. And all the museums offer free times or days, and 11 of the museums are free all the time. And the origins began in 1977 when some action was needed to provide easier access to the museums. So they put them all here in this one district. You can find all sorts of museums. They include the museums we're going to be visiting, the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston, which is one of the world's largest art museums based on floor space. There's over 6,000 years of history you can find of arts in the museum that span more than 70,000 works of art. Also included is the Museum of Natural Sciences, one of the most popular natural history museums in the country. In fact, it's one of the largest, most popular museums that are non-Smithsonian. And of course, one of the largest Holocaust museums in the country, the Holocaust Museum in Houston, which talks all about the Jewish experience in the Holocaust. It talks all about their experiences there and how to make sure something like that never happens. And the Children's Museum in Houston as well, serving 1.4 million people annually. So this is some of the museums we'll be finding here in the museum district. Down below us, here is the campus of Rice University. Here's the campus. You can see some of the historic buildings here in Rice. So the reason I just wanted to get those out of the way is because we got a lot of museums to visit. So I hope you guys are enjoying this stream as well. I'm sorry, like I said earlier, for the sound issues that are going on. I think I fixed it now, so I don't think sound is going to be much of an issue in future streams. I hope it isn't. Here's the museum. To our left is the Museum of Fine Arts. Houston's Fine Art Museum. There's the Natural History Museum behind the building. It's the Natural History Museum. The Holocaust Museum is this. This is the Holocaust Museum. We should get through the Children's Museum. So next on here is going to be Herman Park. This 445-acre urban park in Houston is one of the oldest public parks in the city. Created by acreage donated by philanthropist George H. Herman. It's home to numerous cultural institutions like the Houston Zoo, the Miller Outdoor Theater, and the Houston Museum of Natural Science and golf course. Oh yeah, and you can't forget the Sam Houston statue. Let me see if I can find a way to get. All right, let's get a picture of the Sam Houston statue, shall we? There's Sam Houston. I know it's not very good in the sim. Fine, it's not good. So this here is the Sam Houston Monument. Sculpted in 1925, constructed by Enrico Ciriaccio in 1924. It is in the northwest corner of the park. It's around 20 by 20 feet, 20 by 20 by 9 feet, set on great granite arch, fabricated by Frank Tyke. That's about 25 by 18 by 9 feet with the Lone Star on the keystone. This is a pretty well-known monument here in the park, and definitely something to visit about Texan. So that is the monument. There's also the outdoor theater, which is around 5,000 people, offering a variety of entertainment like classical music, jazz, ballet, Shakespeare, with free performances run March through November, where people can relax and enjoy the area, either in a covered seating area or a pre-performance picnic. And of course, we're also going to be visiting the second most visited zoo in the United States. The Houston Zoo is one of the most popular zoos in the country. Over 6,000 animals of 600 species receives 2.1 million visitors each year and supports more than a dozen conservation projects all throughout Texas. So this here is the Houston Zoo down below us. So here is the Houston Zoo down below us. So we'll be visiting Texas Southern University, one of the largest historically black colleges in the country, with nearly 10,000 students and 100 academic programs. It serves as an economic resource for a lot of the in Houston. Texas Southern is known as the Tiger, and they participate in Division I in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. They're well known nationwide for the Ocean of Soul Marching Band. There are quite a few notable alumni, but here's the following people that are alumni. Megan Thee Stallion was actually a graduate here in 2021. You actually have Leslie D. King, Supreme Court Justice of Mississippi. You have gold medal winners Robert Taylor. And one of the most notable faculty here is Matthew Knowles, is one of the more well-known faculty members. But here's the fact about him. The reason he's very well-known is because he's actually the father of none other than Beyonce. one of the most famous artists in the world. So definitely some pretty interesting alumni. And then literally right next to Texas Southern, right next to it, is the University of Houston, which is the largest university in the city, founded in 1927. It's the third largest university in Texas, spans around 894 acres of land with more than 276 degree programs through 16 colleges and academics. They're well known for their space commercialization, exploration, biomedical sciences, and more. It's also very well known for its sporting teams, known as the Houston Cougars, played in Division I in all sports, with their most well-known program being the basketball program, with multiple Elite Eight and Final Four performances. Some very famous alumni. There's quite a few alumni, but some of the most famous include former NASA astronaut Bernard A. Harris, Basketball Hall of Famer Clyde Drexler, full-time NBA All-Star Elvin Hayes, and of course, Akeem Olajuwon, known as the Dream, and finally Elizabeth Warren, senator from Massachusetts, are all alumni of the University of Houston. So yeah, these are some pretty well-known people that are around from Houston. So this is Texas Southern University. Texas Southern. So you can see there's the basketball arena for the Texas Southern Tigers. This looks like both the football facility and the track. So there's that. And then this here is the University of Houston. Right here. In front of us is the University of Houston. To our left here, this is TDECU Stadium, home of the Houston Cougars football program that was built back in 2014, replacing their old facility of Robertson Stadium. It has a seat capacity of 40,000 people. As well. Some of their features include a view of the Houston skyline in the northwest corner. Got a plaza containing the historical significance of Houston Cougar football. And it's even got a pretty big sized video board, 68 by 51, with an LED display. So that is TDECU Stadium. So we're gonna go ahead and so this here is the new football facility for Houston. Currently, when this thing was getting ready for the sim, it was still under construction. However, as of now, this facility is actually it's actually getting old. It's 9 years old. This thing is 9 years old currently. And finally, the last major area where the University of Houston we should be visiting is going to be the Fertitta Center. 7,100 people visit this arena. It's the home of Houston's basketball program and many others. For both Houston men's and women's basketball teams, make their home here in Fertitta Center. Like other arenas of its kind, the seam bowl is actually dug into the ground, so one has to enter the building from the top. It's been the home of Houston basketball since 1969. It also used to be a temporary facility for the Houston Rockets. It originally opened with 10,000 people, but it's been reduced to 7,100 people, and it's hosted all sorts of concerts from Jethro Tull, George Harrison, Elvis has had a concert here, Led Zeppelin, Dead, and more. Okay, so now that we're done here with the University of Houston, we can focus. We're going to do a touch and go at our first airport stop. Yes, we finally have a stop. We're visiting William P. Hobby Airport. Used to be Houston's main airport until George H.W. Bush Airport was built. It is currently now an operating base for Southwest Airlines. It has an operating base here at the airport. And they do lots of international and domestic flights from the airport. As of 2017, Houston Hobby is the 5th largest airport in Southwest network. And currently now, they even do international flights from Southwest to Mexico, Central, and South America. Currently, the airport covers over 1,000 acres of land. It has 3 runways. The longest is runway 0422, which is around 7,600 feet. Then there's 13 left, 31 right at 5,148 feet. And finally, the last one is the second longest runway, 13 right, 31 left at 7,599 feet. And the fun fact about this airport is in 2022, it became the first 5-star airport in North America by Skytrax. Yes, the first 5-star airport in the country is this one for visiting. Pretty cool as well. This airport currently has destinations around the country and internationally. For Southwest Airlines, they do flights from around the country, like Austin, Atlanta. They flew into Belize City and Belize, Cancun. They fly to Cozumel. They fly all sorts of ways. They fly to Costa Rica, Los Cabos, and more. But yeah, this is a very major airport here for Southwest Airlines. Now, located in this airport, we should be finding the 1940 Terminal Air Museum. Yes, this thing actually has a museum here. So this Terminal Air Museum, you can find collections are housed in the original Art Deco building, which was the first terminal for passenger flight here in Houston. The museum contains several collections of Houston's civil aviation history and is operated currently by the Houston Aeronautical Heritage Society. The terminal is one of the last surviving classic Art Deco airport architecture from the 40s. And this terminal served Houston during the years where air travelers traveled their best in planes like the DC-3 and Lockheed Constellation, the Connie. And this terminal was used. It was used until 1978. The airport originally was one to demolish it. However, enthusiasts blocked the demolition, and then it was unoccupied for 20 years. Thankfully, though, the city of Houston restored this place to save the terminal, and it's been completely restored now through multiple renovations over the years. And of course, the Heritage Society even has a hangar of the old grounds, and you can find different collections like a Lockheed Lodestar and a Sikorsky S-8 helicopter. So you can actually learn all about the various airports of Houston aviation history. Pretty cool stuff. So guys, if you like what you're seeing here and want to give a follow to the channel, click that follow button. That would be greatly appreciated. It would be greatly appreciated if you like what you see to follow. I do have my Discord available if you guys want to check it out. So I'm looking at the Terminal Museum. You got quite a few exhibitions, like Fast Takes Flight and all that, but they also have a hangar. They have, currently in the hangar of the museum, they have a Lockheed Lodestar N-31G that was used during the 40s, a Cessna Bobcat. They have a Hawker business jet as well, donated for display. Yeah, they have some really interesting exhibits and all that. Pretty cool stuff. Hey, Ohio State Car 291. Do you have your private pilot license? No. But welcome, chat, Ohio State Car 291. So no, I don't have a private pilot's license, unfortunately. Though that being said, I would need a license to fly this plane, which is a 103 ultralight. I wouldn't really need a license to fly that. Though I would really, really, really want a pilot's license. So welcome to Houston Hobby Airport. Just for a simple touch and go to the airport. But no, I don't have my private license. So wherever this area is where the 1940 Terminal Museum should be at. Unfortunately, I don't have any scenery for Houston Hobby. We are going to fly over it. A general question: how did people gain the knowledge and know how to fly these ultra-realistic simulators without a private pilot? Oh, good question. In fact, the simulator is actually a great place to train. So in Flight Simulator, there should be a training part in your activities. Let me show you. So it's an activity section, and then you can do a tutorial from that section. But also, there's a lot of other people with tutorials and all that will help you with flying for the first time. There's all sorts of add-ons that can help people that like have training sort of stuff to help you train for these kind of flights. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that even if I don't have a license, you can find ways to train. But yeah, great question. So this should be, we're okay. Now when we return from the airport, we should be now heading towards our two last but very important POIs we're going to be visiting for today's trip. We'll be first visiting Space Center Houston and Johnson Space Center. So Space Center Houston is a scientific museum that serves as the official visitor center for Johnson Space Center here in Houston. It was designated a Smithsonian Affiliate Museum in 2014. It's currently owned by NASA. And Johnson Space Center is home to mission control and astronaut training. This center opened in 1992. It's around 250,000 square feet of space. It displays over 400 space artifacts, including the Mercury 9, Gemini 5, and Apollo 17 space capsules. The gallery includes other vehicles too. There's a lunar module test vehicle, a lunar roving vehicle, different lunar samples of moon rocks, and a Skylab trainer. There's also an Independence Plaza containing the world's only replica space shuttle, where it stands mounted in one of the two original space shuttle carrier crafts. Which basically, for those that don't know, the SEAs, they're actually modified Boeing 747s. I don't know if you guys are pretty familiar. They also have one of 3 remaining Saturn V rockets on display. You can also find the You can also have, there's also a new exhibit that opened in 2017, Mission Mars, which was how NASA's planning to bring future travel to Mars. Which includes a virtual reality wall, real-time weather forecasts, and a Mars meteorite. And finally, other attractions include the astronaut gallery, which has a collection of spacesuits, the lectern that President JFK used during his speech to get America to go on the moon, a Space Center theater, which is 5-story tall 4K resolution theater, and even a live program that lets guests become rocket scientists. Wow. Pretty cool space museum as well. Gotcha, thanks. I'm guessing you don't have to actually go through pre-flight checks to everything. Well, here's the thing. It depends on which plane it is. Like the default planes, you do, like the default planes, you don't have to do pre-flight checks. However, if you buy certain really advanced planes, like, you do need to go through background checks to do some of the more advanced and simulated planes. You might have to do pre-flight checks. But in real life, I recommend you pre-flight checking everything to make sure it works. Because trust me, in real life, if you mess up, forget just the plane at risk. You're at risk too. And safety is everything when you're operating things in real life. It just is. So yeah, I hope that answered some of your questions. So there is one final place we're going to check out. This is the Johnson Space Center. This space center is NASA's Center for Human Spaceflight, where human spaceflight training, research, and flight control are conducted. It was renamed in honor of the late U.S. President in 1973, Lyndon B. Johnson. This complex contains about a complex of 100 different buildings constructed on 1,600 acres of land in the Clear Lake area of Houston, which acquired the official nickname the Space City in 1967. It's home to the NASA's Astronaut Corps and responsible for training astronauts from both the U.S. and international partners. It also houses the Mission Control Center, which provided the flight control function for every NASA spaceflight since Gemini 4. And its popularity known by its radio call signs Mission Control and Houston. So if you guys said Houston, we got a problem. The reason they call it Houston is because this is where Mission Control is at, right here in Houston. But it's more than just that as well. Now, originally the Space Task Force Group was in DC, in the Goddard Space Flight Center, but they had to move it to Houston to have more space. So a little bit about each of the facilities here. Being home to the Mission Control Center. So the thing about the Control Center here in Houston was there's multiple different control rooms. They have different locations of tracking stations each year, and each Mission Control is a 4-tier auditorium with a giant map screen. Has the Mercator projection of Earth. And there's usually 3 shifts to each of the crew working in the Mission Control. There's also a training facility and a buoyancy laboratory, which is important to train astronauts how to walk in space, because in space, there isn't very much gravity on the moon. It's much less gravity on the moon compared to on Earth. There really isn't. so they had to train there as well. And around 3,200 civil servants, including 110 astronauts, are employed here for a lot of training to train future astronauts with hyperbaric and hypobaric atmosphere pressures and getting used to the gravity. So they have to also be scuba trained. So definitely a very cool facility as well. We should get to Johnson Space Center really soon and fly around the area. So yeah, that's the last things before we get to the space. So yeah, that is what it is. We're just gonna keep going forward. I know this thing isn't the fastest thing in the world. We'll get to there. In fact, I don't think we're going to be going too far. So yeah, I wanted to ask you guys for the weekend. I hope you guys have anything important for the weekend to discuss. Currently for me, I'm just going to be working on more notes for the Britley DC-3 trip. I currently took pictures of all the legs, so I'm going to plan on, once I complete the leg information for each of the trips, I'll be finishing up all the final touches for those flights. So after this, I'll be getting ready for the probably the longest one of the longest DC-3 flights so far of this journey. We'll be flying we'll be flying um from Amman, Jordan. We'll head down through Wadi Rum and the Dead Sea, and we'll be going through the entire for much of the desert in Saudi Arabia. It'll be sandstorm conditions, so it should be a very interesting flight on Sunday. It should be a really fun and very, very interesting flight. Expect a lot of information for you guys to learn. I'm prepared entire slideshow for Saudi Arabia. I'll even be able to talk about the Hajj as well, which for you guys you don't know is a very, very big deal in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, today's been a peaceful day. I mean, very peaceful. there she is. We're finally here. We're finally at Johnson Space Center. Yeah, it took a bit of a longer flight. So here it is. Here is the Space Center. Right in front of us is the Johnson Space Center area. We're going to go ahead and turn left. We will be visiting Johnson Space Center. Space Center Houston. Here it is. There is Space Center Houston, everyone. Yep, we finally made it over in this area. And here it is, Space Center Houston. See, there is the space carrier vehicle in the space shuttle. There's those vehicles, and there's the Space Center Museum. And then all of this area is Johnson Space Center. All this is here. Okay. All right, and we can just turn left. And now we can let me go ahead and get the last two slides of today. Good to see you, Kolpar. Oh, thank you so much, Kolpar1. Good to see you. Welcome. I appreciated Kolpar. I used to do these city tours every Sunday back in 2022. I took a break with it since I wanted to focus on VA sort of stuff. But now that I'm doing the Around the World trip, I'll be doing these series once every 3 weeks, along with the GA and airliner flight. So I'll be alternating between one of the three. But I really appreciate the kind words, Kolpar. Welcome in chat. So we have two more places we're visiting today. First is Ellington Airport. Ellington Airport here in Texas was originally established back in 1917 for the Army Air Service during World War I. It's currently used as a GA reliever airport, but it does have services between the airports as well. And it is still the only World War I trained airfield still be operated today. It used to also be as a joint reserve base as well, for NASA uses it as well. It currently has 3 runways, including a huge runway in runway 0422, but in 2 really big runways, nearly 9,000 feet. It's also home to the Texas Air National Guard, all have a presence in the area. And of course, it's also home to the Lone Star Flight Museum as well, makes their home here. As well. Speaking about the Lone Star Flight Museum, this is where FS Expo is going to be held out this year, Flight Sim Expo. But this aerospace museum has more than 24 historically significant aircraft. Many of them are related to history of flights. And unlike many other museums, most of the aircraft here in the museum are actually flyable. Located here at Ellington Airport, there's over 100,000 square feet of property, including its own airport ramp. It was actually moved from Galveston to Houston to repeat the devastation suffered at Hurricane Ike, which really damaged the airport. So they moved them here to Houston to make sure it didn't get damaged again. The museum's collection often promotes a lot of air shows across the country. And each of the aircraft, and as of 2005, they logged more than 40,000 miles of cross-country flying for demonstrations, including their P-47 and the B-25 Mitchell as well. So some of the aircraft included in the museum, I'm looking at it right now. So some of their collection includes a Grumman Albatross, the Aircoupe, a T41 Mascalero, basically a military version of the Cessna 172 we all know and love. The Piper PH-39 Twin Comanche, a Lockheed Howard Tri-Gear, a Boeing Stearman, Piper Cub, TBM Avenger, SPD Dauntless, of course the Douglas DC-3 makes a home here, an F-40 Corsair, and of course the B-25 Mitchell. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and get ready for runway. We're going to land 35 left. So being such a slow plane isn't a bad thing at all. In fact, being such a slow plane, we can actually land pretty close. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this tour as well. It's my first one I've done in it's the first tour I've done since September. So maybe it's still a little rusty, but I hope you guys really enjoy it. I know I put a lot of work into creating this tour guide with many different destinations and more. But yeah, it's great to bring this series back. And I think schedule it once a week, once every 3 weeks. I think it's going to be good for me because I can always create new flight plans for the tour. And plus, that way I don't have to over-research everything. I can just enjoy flying, which I think that's what I like to do, is to enjoy flying in the air with you guys. So here it is, Ellington Airport. We're going to go ahead and descend. So yeah, we are finally done with this tour. I'm very happy that it went really well today. Very, very happy with the tour. And we're going to land back at point. But yeah, I hope this was a great tour of the city. We got to visit downtown. We got to visit all of the sporting venues, the landmarks, the PY landmarks. Okay, get ready to land, and I don't have land rate monitor on with me today, so I'm gonna go ahead and oh crap. Medic. Oh no. Well, hey, it could have been but no hard feelings, guys. Gonna find somewhere in the grass to park. Flipped over. So that's it, guys. Let me go ahead and get this thing. Oops. Turn the battery off. It'll shut off on its own. Butter. Oops. Yeah, that's right, Typhon. But yeah, guys, that is the end of the city tour for today. I had a great time today, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. It's good to be back doing the city tours again. I haven't done some of this for a while, so I hope you guys really enjoyed it today. So yeah, we toured everything we need to know about Houston, from San Jacinto and the Port of Houston to downtown with Minute Maid Park, Rice University in Houston, University of Houston, and Johnson Space Center. So we got to visit all the places we wanted to visit for today. But guys, thank you so much for coming along as well. A massive thank you to Catbat for the raid earlier today. So who are we going to raid today? That's a good question. I'm gonna go and pick. I'm gonna go with Okandu for today, guys. So I'm gonna rate Okandu's channel just shortly. So thank you guys so much for coming here on today's stream. I mean, I'm happy to do the City Tour series. So before we get going, on Sunday, we'll be going and taking the DC-3. We'll take off here at Oscar Juliet Alpha Mike. And this one's going to be a long one. 993 nautical miles through the Arabian Desert, all the way to Bahrain at Manama, in Bahrain International, Oscar Bravo Bravo, India. It's going to be a long trip through the desert. Then afterwards, and then for next Wednesday, it would be a GA flight. I'm planning on doing some sort of GA flight somewhere. I'll let you guys know by Wednesday where I decide when to go. But we'll do something fun and interesting for GA. So yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for today. Thank you guys so much as well. And I hope to catch you all on Sunday. Take care, everyone. Viper Strike 95 is ready to sign off.